Is this thing on? I think it's working. I hope it's working. I'm going to check a little bit over here. I know there's the delay that I'm getting used to, but this is my first official live stream. I think I know a lot of you guys in the chat right now, but just in case you don't know who I am, if this is your first time on my channel, I am Perri Nemiroff. I love movies and TV, and I just want to talk about it all the time. So that's what this live show is about. It's going to be something that I'm going to do once a week. So the way that's going to work is right now it's obviously 6:30 Eastern time on a Monday, but I think what I'm going to do going forward is I'm going to move the show to the weekends to give me a little more flexibility, and I'm going to move it to earlier in the day on Saturdays, I think, and I'm going to leave it to you. I'll pin a comment in the video when I'm done recording, but I'll put a comment there and just reply to it and let me know what time of day you would most prefer. But right now, I am toying with the idea of regularly doing these every Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific. So you guys can let me know what you think about that. And what I think I'm going to do as far as the show structure goes is I'm going to spend 30 minutes talking to you guys live, and we're going to do 4 things. We're going to talk about 3 different movie or TV news stories, and then I'm going to take some chat questions. So start thinking of those questions and drop them in. Hopefully I'll get to as many as I can, but let's just get to it. Let's get to it with my first story here. I'm going to be looking at some notes, so in case I look at the screen, that's what I'm doing. And the very first story is something that my Patreon team, because we did a test stream last night and they helped me choose what my show lineup today was going to be. The first story I'm going to talk about is something that I've been dying to talk about since the news dropped, and it's the fact that Scream 5 is officially a go, and not only is it officially a go, but it's got a team of filmmakers behind it. It is the trio that was responsible for the new movie that we saw in the summer of 2019, Ready or Not, a movie I absolutely adored. That trio is called Radio Silence. It's Matthew, Tyler, and Chad. Specifically, it's Matthew Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette as the directors behind this new Scream movie, and then Chad Villella is going to be producing it. So that's the trio, Radio Silence. I've been a big fan of their work ever since I saw what they delivered in that very first VHS movie. Their segment in that was 10/31/98, and I thought that was a great little short there, and I thought their short in Southbound was solid too, but this is a big deal, and this is a big deal after they had an excellent feature in Ready or Not. You guys know how much I love Scream. I love the entire franchise, but that first Scream movie is my second favorite movie of all time. It's a very big deal, and we all know how precious we can get when it comes to continuing on a franchise that we adore so much. So yes, there are some nerves involved with getting a Scream 5, but the second I found out that this film would be in Radio Silence's hands, I automatically felt more encouraged that they were going to pull it off. So this news originally came from Discussing Film, and it was later reported again by THR confirming the story. So this is the real deal. It's moving forward. We don't have any plot or casting information just yet, and that obviously begs the question. That's the title of my episode today. Should this new Scream movie be a continuation? Should it be a Scream 5, or should this be a reboot? So I thought about this a lot. If you told me tomorrow that it was going to be a continuation and that Neve Campbell was coming back, so is David Arquette, so is Courtney Cox, I would be thrilled. So let me just get that out there right now. No matter what they decide to do, no matter what Radio Silence decides to do with this, I am going to have faith in them, because I have faith in them as filmmakers, and I really do think they have great respect for this franchise. So I trust them and the decision they wind up making. If I were making the decision right here and now, though, I am leaning towards the fact that I think Sidney Prescott's story is pretty much wrapped up. I don't think that there is much of a point in continuing it, or at least not a point that's coming to my mind right now. I think the way to go with this is, I don't even want to use the term reboot. I like I like the feeling of something saying, you know, inspired by, or a reimagining, something completely fresh, but with keeping the Ghostface mask in the mix. I think there is a way to get a new cast of characters and to update this meta slasher idea to make it feel really new and fresh, but also firmly rooted in what made the original 1996 Scream movie super special. So that's what I'm leaning towards right now, but I do want to place an emphasis on keeping the mask, because I think that's really important. With that MTV Scream series, I did eventually get used to the fact that it didn't have the traditional Ghostface mask, but I think there was a major disconnect that I had to get past with that series, that it kind of felt like a big waste of time to me, and eventually I did get very attached to that cast of characters, and I appreciated the story that they created well enough. Was it that great? Maybe not, but I was entertained enough. And, you know, also, when I look back at the Scream franchise, you don't have to tell me. I know that Scream, 1996 Scream, is the best of the best. I think Scream 2 is excellent. I have a major soft spot for Scream 3, and I like Scream 4 as well. I know that none of those three movies can compare to the original, though. I do think there is an opportunity to deliver something new and fresh here that feels like a restart of sorts. I was reading earlier on, because I was busy like ghosting you guys in the chat while you were all waiting there, and I know some had been asking, what do you think about them going the Halloween, the 2018 Halloween story treatment style with this, so basically retconning the franchise. But my question to that would be, like, where would you even retcon it? I know that many out there would probably rank it, I don't know, let's say the original Scream being the best, then Scream 2, then Scream 4, and I know what people say about Scream 3, but again, I've got a soft spot for it. It is tonally extremely different. The story is nowhere near as refined, but I enjoy it, never turn it off when it's on. But still, I mean, what would you do? I would never want the Scream franchise to just wipe the slate clean after the first Scream, because of how much I really do love what happens in Scream 2, but I don't think there's any opportunity to do that. I don't think there's a good place to retcon this franchise quite like there was with the Halloween franchise. So I just want to take that idea and put it in the trash and never see it happen. But again, I'm just going to tell you guys, whatever Radio Silence decides, I am going to give them the benefit of the doubt until I see the movie for myself and feel otherwise. So that is where I stand on the new Scream movie. But when I go into that whole idea of doing a new Scream story with a different cast of characters, there are so many things you could do with the new technology. Like, think about all of the new things that have risen up within the horror genre, all the new techniques that we've gotten from now back through when the 1996 movie came out. You have, and I know that Scream 4 tapped into this a little, but you know, you've got found footage, you've got all these different trends that we're seeing taking off in the genre filmmaking realm right now. You also have something like Screen Life. I'm not saying to make a Scream 5 solely with the Screen Life format, but you can definitely work that in, and also think about all of I would say the thematic trends that we're seeing within the genre. You know, you could even dip into playing with, I'm trying to think of the most recent slasher movie, but I'm trying to figure out a way. I know The Babadook isn't a traditional slasher, but something with these really smart thematic things that we're seeing popping up all throughout genre right now. It's going to take some creativity. It's going to take some creativity to embrace the meta vibe that made Scream as special as it was, and kind of apply that to a new generation of slasher movies that we've seen in the last few years. Maybe do something, you know, along the lines of Stab also. Have fun with a horror movie within a horror movie kind of idea. I really do think the possibilities are endless, and I think this is the trio to tackle it. So I am very excited about them being on board for this. Give me a minute while I scroll through some of your questions. I want to see if anybody has some specific Scream questions before we move on to the Ahsoka story. We've got Mirror Domains is saying, I love Scream 3 because of Parker Posey. I love Parker Posey so much in that movie, and I think that her kill scene in that, sorry guys, spoiler, the movie's super old, her kill scene in that is one of my favorite kill scenes in all of the Scream franchise, so very good call on that. What else do we got here? Someone is asking if I'm in New York or LA. Some of you already know this. Right now, I am in New York. home sweet home with my family in New York, because with this crazy situation, I didn't want to be alone in my apartment. I thought it would be better off to be with family, so that's where I am right now. All right, let's get into Ahsoka, because we have a lot of other questions that I want to get to in the chat right now, but I want to get to these 3 topics first. So you guys might have heard Slash Film, great reporting over there, broke the news that Rosario Dawson is going to join The Mandalorian Season 2 as Ahsoka Tano. When I read that, so you guys know how that's been going. For how long now have people been fan casting Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka? And I've been loving that idea, but I still think, I don't know, I was just thinking that was never really going to happen. But it seems like a no-brainer. They need to build hype. They need to build so much more love within the fandom, and I think that's the way to do it, because most of the communication I've had online with Star Wars fans is they're really excited about the idea of Rosario Dawson playing that character, and that character has gone through such a transformation from the introduction in the Clone Wars to what we have known now, from that through to Rebels. Have any of you read the Ahsoka book by E.K. Johnston? Because I loved that book so much, and I listened to the audiobook, which of course was narrated by Ashley Eckstein, which really just enhanced the whole experience. But I think that's a really rich character that someone as talented like Rosario Dawson is going to have a blast sinking her teeth into. And when you look at what The Mandalorian accomplished in Season 1 already with its character effects, I think Ahsoka is just going to look fantastic. I think Rosario Dawson most certainly will carry that character well. And then when you look at the costume, the makeup, the special effects makeup department, I think they are going to knock it out of the park. And I cannot wait to get the first look at that character too, because we do know that Mandalorian Season 2 is coming to Disney Plus. I believe it was reported for an October debut. So I just wouldn't be surprised if we started to get first looks and things like that, building hype, especially with this entertainment lull that we're in right now because of the current situation. But I'm hyped about this. I'm also really excited about the idea of getting a new Ahsoka. And I'm not talking about, creating a new version of the character, but we're going to be in a different stage of her life when we meet her in The Mandalorian. She is going to be older, and also the complete tonal shift for what we've seen her do in the worlds that we've seen her in thus far, jumping into what feels more like a Western with The Mandalorian. I think when you add all of that together, we're going to get a really fresh feeling, exciting character. And oh man, as much as I've loved this character in animated and book form, I want to see her live action so badly, and I am beyond hyped about this. So let's see what we got here. Ahsoka is Force sensitive too. Maybe Baby Yoda calls to her. Hey, I don't know. You can always have a connection there. I wouldn't mind seeing that. That actually, would be a really satisfying. So Baby Yoda was wonderful across the board in Mandalorian Season 1. I loved the use of that character where it wasn't just like, obviously people are buying Baby Yoda products and everything, and it's a great marketing tool for Disney to make those kinds of dollars. But I also think Baby Yoda was used really well as a well-developed character that grew throughout the show. So if Baby Yoda connecting the dots between what we knew from Mandalorian Season 1 to Ahsoka being introduced in Season 2, I think that would also help that character quite a bit as well. So that would be really neat. 333 Andman is saying, I'm glad you're doing a live stream now. You know what? So am I. This has just been a long time coming, and yet another thank you to the members of my Patreon campaign, because I don't think I would have done this without them. I was really nervous about it. I didn't want to screw it up. I'm a big perfectionist, so I wanted it to go off without a hitch the first time. So the fact that I got to test it out with them last night really made all the difference. Stephen Fate, oh hey Stephen, is asking, are you going to do super chats in the future to help support you? Yeah, I mean, why not? How do I turn that on? I gotta look into that, but I'll turn that part on soon. Also, I think it'll probably help me as I look at my notes and I check, the behind the scenes, because I'm running this all by myself right now, but super chat will also be a very useful way to keep an eye on priority questions and stuff as I go through this. So I'll work on that. Next up here, the third story that I wanted to hit, and this is a pretty big one, is just the general effect that the coronavirus outbreak has had on the entertainment industry. And, I'm wearing my South by Southwest shirt right now because I wanted to give the festival a little love, because I know how rough the cancellation was on the town of Austin, the filmmakers involved, the programmers, everything. My heart broke for them. But as sad as I am about South by not happening, as sad as I am about not seeing a movie that I was really looking forward to, like let's say Black Widow, and having to wait for that, there are many, many more bigger things in play right now, and it's a life or death situation, so health is of the utmost importance here. So I know that these entertainment matters are a little smaller compared to that, and also job loss. Job loss is a huge deal right now, so I feel for everybody who's affected in all those different respects right now. Really, I feel for you, my heart breaks, and I'm just rooting for everybody to pull through this. Going into the specifics of how it could affect the entertainment industry long term, just to keep that part of the conversation going right now, I wish I had firm answers or ideas for you, but this is an ever-evolving situation. It does not seem like we are at a point where, we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. We don't know if theaters are going to be shut down for, weeks, if not months, if not through the end of the year. I'm trying to stay as hopeful as possible, but I'm just considering all the different possibilities that we could wind up facing going forward. So there's some good things happening. I don't want to sound like doom and gloom right now, but there was obviously just that news that Netflix established a relief fund, and they're going to distribute $100 million to entertainment industry workers. And I mean, that's wonderful. I would love to see more companies step up in that respect and do that, because there is a significant amount of job loss happening right now. As far as the future of moviegoing, going to the theater is concerned, again, I just think it's too early to tell, because we don't know how long it's really going to last. And the other thing that I'm wondering is, hypothetically, let's say theaters are closed for another month or two. Even when they reopened, is there going to be lasting fear, concern about going into a theater setting again? So it might take the industry a little while to get going like that. So I'm trying to weigh all those possibilities. What I think we're going to see more of in the future is more movies being sold to streaming services. And I know certain gigantic companies, like let's say Disney, they have their own streaming services in a Disney Plus and a Hulu, but I wonder if we're going to see some of the smaller movies be sold to Netflix. Or, Paramount has that great relationship with Netflix as far as selling off certain films. They did it with Cloverfield Paradox, they did it with Annihilation. We might see them the studios try to make money that way, and if this goes on long enough, I don't think they're going to have much of a choice. I also think we are going to wind up seeing maybe some of the major studios release certain selections, probably not the big budget movies like a Black Widow, but something that was made for a smaller budget, and release them on VOD platforms for premium prices. Kind of like what they just did with The Hunt, The Invisible Man, and also Bloodshot, where I believe they're all going to be available, if not all available right now, for $19.99. This is different though. Those three movies, they had their opening weekends, they made a certain amount of money. Let's say we're talking about a movie that was never seen in theaters at all. It was scheduled for, I'm just making it up right now, a June release or something. I think that the cost is going to have to be higher on that, because when you think about it, you're cutting down such a significant amount of viewers, because you could have a whole household of people, a whole family of people watching a movie for just $19.99, where let's say they might be buying tickets that cost $16, $17 for, I don't know, 4 people. So they need to account for all of that. But I think we're going to see all of those changes happening in the near future, because I just don't see the theater industry bouncing back quick enough for us to just, go back to business as usual. I think we're going to see major changes there. The other thing that I've been thinking about a lot, and this is me right now trying to, find the bright spot in all of this, or some sort of like a positive lasting change that could affect the industry. And I think that could happen as far as the Academy is concerned, because I do believe there are reports out there already that are discussing the possibility of the Academy changing certain rules as far as Oscar qualifications go. And I think it's about time they did that. I think that they need to accommodate streaming services far more than they already have been. So if this current situation encourages them to change those restrictions to accommodate more streaming features, then I think that's only going to benefit, the Academy and the value of an Oscar in the future, because I'm of the mind is, yes, I value the theatrical experience, and I'm always going to go to a movie theater as much as I possibly can rather than watching something at home, and I really believe in a movie being seen in the format that a filmmaker believes in, but we gotta change with the times, and the truth of the matter is there's high quality movies being released on streaming services, and if streaming services are affording certain filmmakers opportunities that they might not get through the studio system, that movie can't be seen as less than compared to a big budget studio movie. So I really do think that if the Academy winds up making changes, and if some of those changes aren't just a reaction to what's happening right now and they wind up being long-lasting changes, that could wind up changing the Oscars for the better. So that's where I stand on that. I'm going to go through some comments now on this topic before I take some random questions here. All right. We've got Travis Smith is saying now is not the time to launch a new $20 a month app. Are we talking about a specific app? I am very curious about what happens with the launch of Quibi. I do think that, I think that this is going to wind up maybe helping them a little, or, when you think about it, if we don't have many opportunities to consume entertainment out of the house, launching a new streaming service like Quibi, people might be more eager to try it, but then we also have to consider the incredible amount of job loss right now. Maybe folks out there won't be so willing to spend the money on trying a new service like Quibi, so it's going to be a toss-up on that one, but I still do believe, I know the launch of Quibi is in April, I forget the specific date, but launching Quibi this early into the outbreak, they still might have a chance of, making a good deal of money based on people just not having as much to consume right now and wanting to give them a shot. I know I, for one, am going to give them a shot. I'm very curious to know what's going on with that. Mirror Domains is asking, is Quibi American only? And there is a chance that might be the case. I haven't looked into the territories that they're launching in just yet. Corey's saying, I paid $20 for The Hunt. I'd say it was worth it. I can't agree more, Corey. I haven't paid the $20, but I have seen The Hunt too many times before, and I will happily pay the $20 to watch it again. I loved the movie. What else do we have going on? The Hunt is worth it. Also, Neil is saying that. All right, we have Zengar. I appreciate the positive outlook, Perry, but I also think that piracy needs to be considered in this conversation, which is another very good point here. We do have to consider piracy because as much, you guys know how much I love box office. My weekly box office videos it's one of my favorite times of the week, and there is great value in a movie finding success opening weekend and thereafter at the box office, but a big part of this market is also home video sales, whether it's DVD, Blu-ray, whether it's VOD, you name it, digital options. That's where a lot of these movies are going to wind up making their money, and if launching them on a streaming service makes them more at risk for piracy, that could then affect a different end of their sales. So really, there are so many things that are going to come into play with this topic. I'm very curious to just kind of watch the news unfold and examine it and discuss it with you guys, but we're at the tip of the iceberg with this whole thing, sadly, and there's going to be a lot of information breaking in the near future on this story. Scuba Steve Films is asking, do you think the Antlers movie is going to be released on VOD? That's an interesting one. I'm not sure how much Antlers cost to make, but that's probably a good example of the types of movies that I was talking about before, even though I believe Antlers I think it's a 20th Century Fox movie that now is going to be a Disney release or a 20th Century release. I think that might be the type of movie that they might say, rather than bury it in what could wind up being an overcrowded 2021 calendar, maybe we should just try to make as much as we can by releasing it on demand at a premium cost right now. that's one of those ones where I think it could be on the cusp of being beneficial to release it sooner rather than later. You guys know I'm really excited about that one. Oh, hey, this is a great opportunity to plug Channel Zero yet again, because Nick Antosca worked on Antlers, and he is also the creator of Channel Zero. So go watch that on Shudder if you haven't. Let's hit some more questions. So at this point, just shoot some random questions my way. We've got about 5 minutes. You also might get a Dewey cameo in the back. I believe he might be walking around behind me. Ooh, I see a good question. MK Songbird. I love seeing all these names that I recognize, too, from Movie Talk. You don't know how happy that's making me right now. MK Songbird is asking, just wondering if you have seen Swallow with Haley Bennett. Yes, I have seen Swallow, and Swallow is so, so good. Dewey is freaking me out right now, though. I feel like he's going to jump on my desk. Swallow is great. So that movie, and really the whole movie overall, I think the premise is, it's thoughtful, and it's also, it's hard to watch. It's about, man, I want to get you guys the proper description of that without actually spoiling. Oh, hello, you have a visitor right now. I feel like I need to pause this just to tell you guys, he's here, Dewey is here, he's trying to walk on the desk. I'm going to try to get him to sit on my lap instead of stepping all over the place right now, but I'm going to read you guys the IMDb synopsis of Swallow to keep it as spoiler-free as possible. Hunter, a newly pregnant housewife, finds herself increasingly compelled to consume dangerous objects. As her husband and his family tighten their control over her life, she must confront the dark secret behind her new obsession. So that obsession is incredibly hard to watch, and it is shot so effectively. I was sitting there watching that movie, and I was just like, I was by myself, and I was verbally freaking out the entire time, just like every single time she was going to eat something and just screaming, no, no, no. Haley Bennett also, why is this industry sleeping on her? She is hands down one of the most talented actors I've seen out there, and I've seen her in a lot of things at this point, and it just feels like that big breakout role that she needs is long overdue. I want her to become a household name so, so badly because she is so talented. Let's see what Film Nerd TV has for me. I need some new horror movie recommendations for my days in the house. Please help out. So, available now on VOD, I'm going to again recommend The Invisible Man and also The Hunt. Great options. And I could go on and on with all of these recommendations. Let me see. I'm going to sit here and I'll scroll through Netflix. I hope you have Netflix, so let's see what they got cooking right now, in the horror department at least. I will tell you that I know Headcount is on there, and Headcount was hands down one of my favorite recent genre releases. I think that one is an excellent watch, and actually, all I'm doing right now is sitting on the movies tab in Netflix, and I see so many fantastic options for you. I see Train to Busan is available on Netflix, and also Green Room. A lot of you know how much I love Green Room. If you want to go back to an older movie, The Craft is also available, and we do have that remake of The Craft coming out, so now might be the time to rewatch the original to prep for that. If you're looking for a Stephen King movie, we've got In the Tall Grass, which came out last year, and I like that quite a bit. Sweetheart is another great option. That's a smaller movie that's well worth your time. And oh my God, what was the news with the Sweetheart director, actually? And he also directed a Slight. Oh, someone's gonna get it to me before I even type it in here. JD, let me see if I can find this news really quickly. Of course I'm not going to be able to. He just signed on to do a really big movie. Let me see if one of you guys get to it before I do. JD Dillard is his name. Slight, Sweetheart, and I'm not going to find it here. Someone just has to tell me, but apparently he directed an episode of The Outsider, which I was not aware of either, but he is super talented, and I can't wait to see what he works on next. You guys are picking up on it now, because this is what happens, because I'm on a delay with the chat. All right. I see a question from Sophia, which is well worth answering. Do I think New Mutants is cursed? Oh, Star Wars! Thank you guys! Star Wars! He's doing a Star Wars movie. Yes, yes, yes. J.D. Dillard directing a Star Wars movie is hands down one of the best decisions I think that franchise could have made. I am so excited for that combo. Back to Sophia's question, you know, I think it's just a coincidence. I don't believe in a movie like that being cursed. There's, as we were talking about in that third story about how coronavirus is affecting the film industry now and going forward, there are so many little things in play. So I think that, you know, New Mutants was just kind of dealt one bad hand after the next, and it's no one's fault. There are so many cooks in the kitchen when you have a big studio movie, especially a big studio franchise movie where maybe they were trying to plant seeds for future installments with that. There are so many things in play, and I don't care what happens with New Mutants at all. I've always been looking forward to it. I will never stop looking forward to it, and I can't wait until they finally release it. I do think that that is an example of a movie that should be dropped on Hulu, though. Give me that, I want that, you know, even if you don't want to put it on a streaming service like Hulu, charge me, I don't even want to say $19.99, charge me twice as much, and at this point, I will pay it. I'm just dying to see that movie. All right, let me take one more question, and then I'm going to call it a day, and then I'm going to reassess, I'm going to check the comments on this video, and I am going to stream again, probably this weekend. So hopefully I will learn a little bit from what you guys tell me, and we can keep making the show better and better. Let's see what we got here. Dean Morgan is saying, I hate that Perri can run the New York City Marathon again, probably. I actually appreciate that quite a bit, Dean, but I'm still recovering from that knee injury, so I have something like 2 weeks until I'm allowed to run again, but I don't have any plans to do another marathon. That took a lot out of me. I feel like it's a box that I only needed to tick once and never again, but I don't know. Never say never, and you guys know how just like off my mind I am about all of these athletic challenges, so who knows? We'll see. All right, let's take one more question, and all right, I'll take two more questions because Corey is asking me if I caught Westworld last night. I've seen Westworld seasons 1 and 2, but I haven't started season 3 yet, and I think I have a little binge watch work to do for Collider. Actually, here's something. Keep an eye out for my Tiger King review on Collider tomorrow, and also, if you're looking for a great movie to watch right now, how did I not say this sooner? The platform. Netflix has the platform. Go watch it, and also if you are not convinced based on what I just said, I have a full review up on Collider.com right now. I also wrote a feature about the movie that I was really proud of, so go check out all of that. Let's see what else. Oh, Zangar, this was very helpful. What would you say to a Dead by Daylight film franchise to bring a new roster of slashers? Oh, that's interesting. Dead by Daylight. Let me see. Oh, this is a game. Okay, I'm just going to read a little bit about this game quickly. An asymmetric survival horror developed by Behavior Interactive. I have to do a little research on this, but I'm glad you brought this to my attention. Oh my God, look at what this is. You guys are getting this in real time as I read this whole thing. So I have to share this with you now. The game is played as a 1 versus 4 online multiplayer where one player takes on the role of the savage killer and the other 4 players play as survivors trying to escape the killer and avoid being caught and sacrificed to the entity. Alongside a handful of original characters, the game also includes downloadable characters from several horror franchises such as Halloween, Left 4 Dead, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Saw, Evil Dead, Scream, Stranger Things. This is actually ringing a bell. I feel like David Griffin might have told me about this at some point, but oh man, that makes me so happy right now. I need to look into that. You know what? That's a way that I should start passing the time, is I should probably game a little more, which I keep trying to make time to do it, but I don't know. There's TV shows and movies consuming my life right now, but at this point, if I'm staying home sweet home for a while, maybe I will game as well. All right, guys, that's it. I am going to say goodbye. From a technical perspective right now, I have a nice little outro card. I hope I press all the buttons properly. I am going to say goodbye. I'm going to say a big thank you to all of you for being here. Please tune in next time, and if you know someone who likes this kind of content and they weren't part of the stream today, tell them about it. Tell them about the show. Tell them that I have a cat. I have a cute cat. He's so mad at me right now. He was sleeping so soundly and I just woke him. I think it's time for me to say goodbye. Have a good one, guys. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon with more movie news. Nope, didn't do it. Now I'm going to do it. You ready? Here comes the outro. Bye, guys.